It's been a while since we looked at the characters in Eternal Return. With over 70 characters now, let's take a look at the new picks since the last time Who the Main came out. What's poppin' everyone, it's your boy Levi, and by the end of this video, you'll hopefully be able to narrow down your character pool to a select few you can pull out to dominate Lumia Island. Last time in Who the Main, we left off briefly talking about Leni. Leni is a support character with utility littered throughout her kit. She is an enchanter that focuses on buffing her teammates and can provide a small bit of AoE damage in fights. Leni typically plays the backline, but has mobility tools to dip in and out of fights. She excels at hitting both allies and enemies with her AoE spells, playing off angles to maximize her utility. Leni shines in pick comps. Her ultimate is a bounce pad that can isolate priority targets, making it easier for your team to secure kills. This is especially powerful with the new vision changes. Pair her with another ally with CC to create 3v2 scenarios using her RE stun combo. However, Leni struggles against divers. When forced to use her support tools as self-heal, her effectiveness drops. Additionally, hitting her Q heal can be challenging if your teammates are very mobile. Pick Leni in a team comp that focuses on picks and controlling fights. She pairs well with Bruiser frontline and a backline carry, using her Q to heal and provide some damage when they dive in, and her support tools to keep your carry safe. But if you're looking for a character that does a ton of damage, maybe the Marksman Tsubame is for you. This Marksman Assassin hybrid is a unique character in Eternal Return and has already received a mini rework to her kit since her release. Tsubame's playstyle requires precision with positioning to stay safe while dealing damage. She has a burst combo that can quickly eliminate squishy targets by stacking her passive and using her R, but it's also a good frontline shred. Unlike other assassins, Tsubame remains effective as a ranged carry after using her combo. She can navigate the outskirts of a fight kiting like a marksman. Tsubame's strength lies in her ability to burst squishy targets at the start of the fight, or shred the front line before the enemy team can get going. Her R allows her to dive in, so you'll want to make sure you have your W and your E to get back out. With good mobility tools and threatening burst potential, Tsubame often draws focus, using her kit to avoid damage. Her weakness appears when her team doesn't initiate the fight. While she has good mobility tools, they are better for evading than escaping. Her mobility doesn't create much difference for divers, so getting the jump on opponents is crucial. She lacks the sustained damage output to other marksmen, meaning she can be outmatched in a prolonged DPS war against characters like Rio or William. Tsubame is a great pick if your team needs backline damage and can complement her diving playstyle. Pair her with characters like Mai or Estelle, who can help her dive in with her burst combo and pull her to safety and peel for her when her enemies turn onto her. While she may struggle to solo carry a fight, she can be a valuable asset to a diving bruiser. If you want a unique playstyle with a Marksman Assassin hybrid with burst potential and mobility, Tsubame could be your pick. She is a squishy character though, and if you want a character that can provide damage to your team but still be a little bulky, you'll want to try out Kenneth. The Bruisers in Eternal Return hit hard, and Kenneth is no exception. He's a melee frontline with good damage and strong defensive abilities. Kenneth excels at sustaining damage through basic attacks and crowd controlling targets for his team's follow-up. Kenneth's playstyle revolves around getting into the thick of a fight. With 2 AoE knockup abilities, you'll want to dive in and control the engage. While not as durable as a pure tank, Kenneth compensates with a heal on his Q, a shield on his W, and a resetting dash for mobility. Despite his AoE abilities, you want to focus on diving onto high priority targets and locking them down. If you're ahead of the curve of the game, you can often solo them yourself. Kenneth's strength lies in his ability to stick to targets and his constant knockups and dashes. Once you pick a target in a fight, Kenneth excels on staying on them, even if they try to escape over a wall. His E-dash can also be cast during the animation of his Q and R, allowing for micro adjustments in a direction if you have good reaction time. With the Diamond Shard augment, Kenneth can absorb initial damage when engaging too. Like many melee characters, Kenneth is vulnerable to poke. If you take too long to engage, you risk having your health whittled down before the fight begins. His CC abilities have a cast time, make him susceptible to good peel from supports that can keep their carries alive. Additionally, Kenneth needs to stack his passive to get the bonus effects on his abilities, so dodging his initiation can delay his effectiveness. Kenneth is great in almost any composition. He has enough damage to pair with another tank frontline and enough bulk to solo the frontline if needed. While he's significantly weaker without another diver, he can still be effective when paired with a support or healer. If you're looking for a bruiser who can dive into fights, sustain damage, and lock down targets, Kenneth is a solid pick. Returning to the Marksman, Katja is a traditional marksman compared to Tsubame. She mans the backline and deals damage from range. I've shared most of my thoughts about Katja in the Does Katja Need a Rework video, so I'll give you the Spark Notes version here. Click the card above for that video. Katja's playstyle relies on keeping enemies at range and using her empowered auto attacks to deal significant damage. She has tools to keep her weapon reloaded, allowing her to continuously output damage. Katja excels at maintaining a fast tempo, clearing zones, and keeping her team moving. Q, W, and D abilities let her scout ahead and avoid dangerous face checking of bush dashes. Her automatic console take also keeps the tempo for your team, allowing you to move through zones quickly. Katja's strength lies in being a high damage carry, especially in the early game. Her repeated empowered basic attacks and ability to control a zone with an objective make her a formidable marksman. She's particularly good at securing early leads and maintaining pressure on the enemy team. However, Katja's biggest weakness is her reliance on staying ahead of the curve to keep up with other traditional marksmen. Without a steroid in her kit, she often gets outpaced in the DPS race. Her E ability is her only escape tool, and it's not very reliable, especially for escaping divers with multiple dashes due to its slow startup time. In my video, I talked about how I personally think that Katja isn't a great character considering the tools that she has for a marksman. I do think she's a character that's going to be relied heavily on numbers. If she has strong numbers, she's going to be good, and once she gets nerfed, she'll be bad. That being said, if you're looking for a traditional marksman with a strong early game pressure and zone control, Katja is a great pick. And coming back full circle to the supports, up next is Charlotte. Charlotte is the classic heal kit in support, meaning most of your gameplay revolves around healing your team and not playing too much of the game. Her playstyle is consistent from game to game. She heals, and she has a few escape tools for herself. Her key mechanic is her death-defying ultimate, which can be used both aggressively to engage enemies or defensively to protect your team. This ultimate is very good, but it's also the most challenging part of her kit. It requires a good understanding of opponents' abilities to time correctly. For example, if your team is about to be engaged on, popping your ultimate can absorb the enemy teamfight's combo, making it especially effective against characters with a big ability that has a cast time, like Bianca R. However, Charlotte's ultimate also highlights her weakness. Often players mistime it, popping it after taking all the damage, which nullifies its effectiveness. Its ability demands precise timing to maximize its impact. Charlotte can fit into most team compositions, as nearly every comp benefits from having a healer. However, if your team is lacking damage dealers, her effectiveness diminishes since she typically takes up a DPS slot. Finally, we'll briefly talk about Darko, the most recent addition to Eternal Return. He's only been out for a few days at the time of writing the script, so it's hard to tell how he'll evolve. Darko is a bruiser with a relatively unique ultimate. He mans the front line as a melee character, with a solid damage through his Q and E, and the effective crowd control with E and R. His survivability is pretty decent as well, thanks to his ability to dash over walls with E and gain a shield with W. Darko's strengths lie in his role as both a diver and an anti-diver. His ultimate can throw a tank into their own backline, initiating for his team and potentially hitting multiple enemies with W for a huge shield. Conversely, if an enemy diver targets his team, he can ult them away from his carry. However, like Kenneth, Darko struggles in neutral situations where he's susceptible to poke. Due to the conditions on his W, he might not always get an enhanced shield to sustain himself. Additionally, he has good chase potential, but his escaping is subpar. While his Q gives good movement speed, the animation lock on his E dash means he's not getting good separation from enemies. If you missed Darko's trailer and want to go back and see it, watch it along with me. Click or tap the screen now to be taken to my analysis of the trailer where I go over some things that you might have missed.